15 months apart. I don't know which one is the older. I'm not going to tell you. But they've loved each other always as sisters and all. This one is a baby machine. Has a baby like that. No problem at all. This one's looking, and she's happy for her sister, don't get me wrong. But they're having their problems. Meanwhile, she's getting pregnant with no problems. No problems at all. So you go to the doctor, and what'd he say?
I can't have a baby.
Because of your tubes, right?
Right.
So you have scarred fallopian tubes.
Right.
So the egg can't get down the main street to be impregnated to go into the womb.
That's right.
See, you thought I didn't know anything about that. All right, so you went to lots of places, didn't you?
Lots of places, lots of surgeries.
You need to open the...
To try to repair the tubes.
So this isn't funny. You are both really hurting along the way here. You were married, both of you were married 6 months apart or so. 1987 or so?
Right.
All right, so did you finally punt them? I should ask you, Linda. You're the one that wanted the baby so much. You're happy for your sister. But you had to have, your heart is broken as you see her.
Yes, but I was happy for her, but yet my heart was broken over her pregnancies. I wanted to be pregnant too. I struggled with that.
Right. Did you try artificial or in vitro?
I tried a total of 3 times.
So that would be your husband's sperm and your egg in a dish, implanted in the side of your womb, so we don't have to worry about the scarred fallopian tube.
Right.
It didn't work.
It did work, but we had failure on the first attempt. We lost twins at 18 and 22 weeks. The second attempt, we didn't get a pregnancy at all. And the third attempt was with Barb. And we were very lucky then.
You know what they did? You know what they did? Tell me what happened. Why did she thank her sister?
She had her baby.
She what?
She had her baby.
Not quite. She did.
She tried to have it. I read an article about this in the magazine a couple of months ago.
Ladies' Home Journal.
Yes. I forgot how the story went, but...
Now, don't screw this up. You know, we're on... What happened?
The sister had the baby, but then she ended up getting pregnant also.
No, well...
Or there was...
Tell. You're allowed to talk, Marty. We don't want to hear from the men too much, but... tell us what happened.
Well, Barb came to us with this idea to try to carry a baby for us, which wasn't a completely original idea, but it was a very magnanimous thing to do. But so we decided to try it after.
Well, now wait a minute. This is not a thing where you decide that your sperm and your wife's egg is going to be fertilized, and she's going to carry the baby. It's a little. There's another wrinkle to this.
Well, there are a lot of wrinkles, but are you talking about the decision making? Right. What we decided was to try this, and if there were enough fertilized eggs, we would also try to implant any extra ones in Linda. And
so we're going to try and make a lot of eggs and fertilize them, right? And we'll take these eggs and we'll put some in her and some in her sister.
Right.
And we got a double chance of having a baby.
That's right.
God forbid somebody should miscarry, you've still got sort of a backup.
Right. And the chances of the eggs actually implanting are fairly minute to start with, especially in Linda because she's producing all the eggs and has all these drugs in her system and all these things. So I think that we were told that Barb would have a much better chance of actually receiving.
So let's understand this now. Your sperm, your egg, we're going to try and get multiple eggs. We're going to fertilize them in a dish, and we're going to implant you and your sister.
Right.
The only person that has nothing to do here is Bill. What in the world are you doing here? Now, you already have 2 kids.
That's true.
And you look up to discover that your wife is actually offering her sister her womb for 9 months, so to speak.
Yeah.
And how'd that play with you, Bill?
Oh, that was fine. I mean, it day at the office. It was fine. At least it was her sister. I think that originally I didn't think it would ever come to pass. So it's really easy to say, yeah, fine, go ahead and do it, because I was sure they'd get pregnant before.
You were sure they'd get pregnant all by themselves and wouldn't need your wife.
That's right. Well, they wouldn't need my wife. For example, we'd go on vacation, and they were on timetables to try to get pregnant all the time. So as hard as they were trying, I was certain that they would absolutely get pregnant. And it got closer and closer, and finally it was like, hey, it's tomorrow.
What's tomorrow?
The procedure.
The procedure. I see. So you present yourself for the procedure, and I assume, and incidentally, you both had to be, your cycles had to be.
That's right.
Right. So you both had to, this is something. So they got to manage your cycle so that you're not only sisters, true sisters, you're biologically sisters too, in the sense that you're going at the same time. Okay. Okay, so now we get a whole bunch of eggs from you. I assume we had a chemical that did that.
Right.
Provoke ovulation.
Right.
So we get all these eggs and we put them in a dish. And then good old Bill comes along. No, sorry, Marty comes along. Sorry, don't want to confuse you. You guys are beginning to look alike to me now. Marty's sperm then is introduced into the dish environment, and how many eggs are impregnated?
I think we had a total of 10 eggs that were produced, but 6 eggs ended up being better than the rest.
So they implanted 3 in you?
Right. We decided no more than 3 in each one of us.
And they implanted 3 in you?
That's right. And that was really by design, because we wanted to limit the risk of either one of us having to carry more than 3 babies. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to do it simultaneously, so that she wouldn't have the risk of quads or carrying 5 babies, and yet we could still have a possibility of 6 good eggs in both of us, and yet not experience a triplet.
Yeah, but you are looking at the possibility of such triplets.
Yeah.
Dr. Silber volunteered the day of the procedure to take any extras.
Did you actually think, you had to think that you could have...
It was a remote possibility. We knew that it could happen, but we just put everything in God's hands. If it happens, fine.
This is something. All right, so now you're both impregnated. You must have called each other every day on the telephone.
Every day.
Are you both getting sick, and you both have craving for...
and everything. All the pregnancies.
Okay, but you are thrilled. This is your sister. She's done maybe... Right. And you had to be scared to death, because you've had your problems here.
I was. I lost twins before, and I was carrying twins again, and I was very afraid that I might lose them again, although my pregnancy was much better this time. It was Barb, on the other hand, who had all the problems in the first trimester. She almost lost Allison. She just had continuous bleeding through the first trimester.
So your sister, the baby maker, was having more trouble in the first trimester than you were. But you were not without your own drama, were you?
Yes, at 26 weeks or 22 weeks, I believe, I started to have problems.
Did you spot, or was there bleeding, or what was the...
I actually went in for contractions, and that was caused because I had the strep B, group B strep, and it can be devastating if the babies are born and they don't know that you have this. But they took care of it then.
But you, at the time, you must have been thinking the worst. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yes, it was the same time I had lost my first twins, and I was just hoping everything would be okay.
You survived it.
Yeah.
And in December of what year? Last year?
This last year.
93.
Yes.
You started having contractions? I don't know. What?
Christmas morning.
How long are you here? How many months are you on Christmas of last year?
I'm 5 weeks early, 35 weeks.
You're 5 weeks early?
Yes.
Okay. You go to the hospital. Did you go?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Sure, why not? I mean, yeah. How about you, Bill?
I was there, too.
Yeah. Lord knows we don't need you, Bill, but if you want to come along. I don't know what you're doing on the Donahue show, Bill. I mean, you don't add anything to this thing.
But I do want to clarify, my husband played a really important role because I had to have 114 shots at the same time every single day, and this was part of the process of keeping your cycle in place.
Well, you have so many shots before you actually get pregnant, and then if you get pregnant, you have to have a progesterone shot every day for like another 100 days because my body didn't realize it was pregnant yet. So for him to get up every morning and make sure 7:30 on the dot I had my shot, I mean, he played a very critical role in that.
So when you implant the fertilized egg in the side of the womb, the biochemistry of the body doesn't work the same as if it were in the good old-fashioned
way.
It
takes, I guess, until the placenta is completely developed before the body takes over on its own.
Okay. Christmas Day last year. There you are. 5 weeks preemie.
Yes.
But you're pretty big. I assume you put...
I was huge.
Do you know how many babies you have? You must. They must have a sonogram and all that.
We knew.
Yeah. So you know you've got 2 babies.
Right.
Do you know how many she's carrying?
We knew probably in the 6th or 7th week of our pregnancy how many babies we were going to have.
All right. You've got 2.
Right.
And she's got 1.
Right.
So this Christmas morning last year.
Yeah.
And was it a big deal? I mean, how long was the labor?
Well, actually, we went in about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I delivered at 8 o'clock that night, a half an hour apart.
Yeah. And good old pregnant sister standing there through this whole thing?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So you had 2 babies.
Yes, it was wonderful.
Last Christmas.
Yes.
But we're still not finished yet.
Oh, and I felt sort of bad because she was still pregnant, and I wasn't anymore, and so something was lost there, but we were very excited about having another baby to repeat the procedure was wonderful.
We have the birth. You've got the home video, so here we are. Merry Christmas, everybody. Last Christmas, Christmas morning. Here's the home video. Well, here are the sisters preparing for the arrival of. Look at this. Yes, you're definitely pregnant there. I mean, even I can see that. I mean, can you imagine the changes in the household? We have 2 sisters, 1 pregnant with 2, 1 pregnant with 1. These are the biological children of Marty and Linda Schaefer. And here we are beginning to move in. Here we go. It's Christmas morning. That time is accurate, incidentally. 7:42.
Oh, look at the belly.
There's 1. There's 1. How much did they weigh, Linda?
5'5" and 5'13".
5'5" and 5'13". Could you take them home, or did you have to leave them, or what?
We had to leave our son in the hospital for a week.
So one of the babies stayed.
Yes.
And here you are coming home, but this isn't. Look at those beautiful children. Nice going, Mom. Well, we're not finished yet. I'm getting exhausted just talking about this. So, Barb, it's Christmas and 2 of the babies are born, and you're carrying the 3rd.
Right.
So when did you go into labor?
I went into labor almost exactly 1 month later. The babies were due January 30th, and Allison arrived January 25th. So she was born exactly 1 month later.
But you did go into the hospital on January 24th. As
That's
you
right.
see on here's the home video of your birth. And now, this is Sister Barb. Remember, she's got 2 of her own. This is her 3rd pregnancy. Look at the date there, January 24th, 10 o'clock. Look at this. Next morning, 1:20 a.m. There you are. And how much did your baby weigh, Barb?
Allison was 10 pounds and 5 ounces.
10.5. Are they ready? Look at that beautiful child. Look at this.
She had a tough time.
These babies are named Madison Barbara Ann and Jackson Frederick. Those are the babies born to Marty and Linda. Barb, you gave birth to the 3rd of the triplets, and the baby that you gave birth to is named Allison. And are they ready? Well, why not? Let's take a look here. Would the mystery guest sign in, please? Look at here. Look at that. Looky here. Imagine what the breakthroughs in fertility have done for the manufacturing industry. Look at that. What beautiful children. Now, I don't know, what's your first question? You don't feel you knew this wasn't going to be your baby? You knew you weren't going to keep this baby? In fact, you didn't even hold, which baby is yours, incidentally?
Allison is the one I carried.
Right here. Oh, the middle one, Allison. Hi, Allison. You did not hold this baby when she was first born.
Right.
By design.
By design. I wanted to wait for about 24 hours and let mom and daughter bond a little bit before I had a chance to hold her, and it worked out very, very well.
We've been talking about what beautiful children you are. Hi. You like me or you like Barney? They'll catch up with Barney. How? Okay, all right. There's might have known that was the man of the group letting us know. These two couples are joined on the stage by Dr. Sherman Silber, the infertility specialist and microsurgeon from St. Luke's Hospital in St. Louis. It happens to be a fertility problem that has to do with the woman. In a moment, we'll talk to a couple who sustained similar problems, only in their case, the problem was the man. How shall that be remedied? You'll be surprised. You won't believe what they're doing in microsurgery today. The men may want to close their eyes when we show you the film coming up here. And we'll do all of that when we come back in just a moment.
What's good? No, you better not lose him. Oh, how funny. Hi, everybody.
Look at this. This is the one boy. Let's review here. This is the first time the triplets have been born to two different women. These triplets were born in 2 different years. The boy and the girl on Christmas Day of last year, and then I think it was Allison born a month later this year. This is not breakthrough first-time fertility strategy, is it? You've done this before.
Right, we certainly have.
But the two mothers is what makes this so...
Yeah, the story is really particularly exciting because if you have tremendous family closeness, then the worst female problems can be solved simply by gestational surrogacy, such as in this case, or even it demonstrates that donating eggs could work for a woman who is very old and has no eggs.
Right. And let's repeat this again. These are the biological children of Linda and Marty.
Correct.
And Barb is the surrogate gestational vehicle.
I have a question for Barb, if I can call you that.
Yes.
Do you have any maternal instincts towards Allison? Like if she falls down and scrapes her knee, do you think, oh no?
No, I tell you, a lot of people ask me, well, how could you give up the baby? And really, I went into the pregnancy with the whole purpose of giving a very important gift to my sister, and that is the gift of life. And
The interaction between the 3 children, do you notice any difference in bonding?
for which, Linda or me?
No.
The three children.
No, they all seem very content and happy, and they all take turns with each other. I don't notice a difference at all.
Yes. Did you do this without lawyers?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's new. Yeah.
I'm curious about the blood type of both mothers. Do you have the same blood type?
They tested us for any problems that we would have with our blood type, and everything was fine. I can't remember what blood type I do have.
Any blood type problems that would have occurred could have been dealt with very easily during the pregnancy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious, what are you going to tell the children, or when are you going to tell the children? What are you going to tell the children?
We're going to tell them everything about this. I believe that when they're old enough to understand, there will be more children born, just like they are.
I'd like to ask if all the response was positive to this. I think it's a beautiful, wonderful thing, but I think there's a possibility of negative feelings also.
Because
playing a role in nature. I mean, people do thinking, like that.
Yeah.
Everything has been very positive with the whole pregnancy with Allison. Nobody has any negative response at all. Everything's been wonderful. And for us, this worked for us. It might not work for some people.
I said that we were going to show you an issue in which the fertility problem rested with the man, and we are going to do that. Quite literally, a man who had no sperm count at all. Is that so?
No sperm whatsoever. At this point, even if it appears that the man isn't even making sperm in his testicle, the new breakthrough is there always seems to be a few sperm in every testicle.
So even though the ejaculate would show no sperm at all,
right,
you can still make a baby with that man being the biological father.
Right.
All right. We're trying to do a show here. Excuse me. We will meet that couple and we'll show. What did you want to ask? I've got a breakthrough.
I just wanted to ask, you have children. How old were they, and what did they think when Mommy was pregnant and didn't bring home a baby?
Well, at the time, I had a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old. And my 3-year-old, from the very beginning, knew that I was trying to help Aunt Linda have a baby, that Mommy was carrying baby Shaper, or in this case, cousin Shaper. And so all along, she would go to her daycare and she'd say, well, Mommy's having a baby for Aunt Linda. So of course I had to go and say, the child is not living, it's true. So she accepted it very well. The day the babies went home, I said to Kelsey before she left for daycare, the babies are going to be gone when you get home tonight. She said, okay. Never once asked me a question why. So she really understood and accepted, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it when she was so young.
We'll take a look at this next case, this is really new, what we're about to share with you, and we'll do that when we come back in a moment. How happy those kids are. And why not? I mean, an appearance on the Donahue Show, the highlight of their lives. Bill and Carla Hunter join us. You're both in your 30s. You've been married for 15 years. It was in 1981, I think, that you had your first sperm check count thing, and it was 0, right?
It wasn't nothing at all.
Nothing moving around there. So, did we find out why, or do we know?
Well, I went to Champaign on the way, and they had a doctor there testing it out, and we went through a bunch of tests and everything, and then we found out that there just wasn't nothing there to bring it out.
And then so you gave up and you were going to adopt, or what?
No, we didn't give up. He asked me, he could refer me to somebody else, and he said, where do you want to go? And I said, he said, St. Louis or Indianapolis, and I said, where's the best one? He said, St. Louis. I said, okay, let's go to St. Louis.
And then what did you do, Dr. Silber? You got no sperm count here.
Well, here was a case in 1983 where I told him, gee, I'm really sorry, but there's nothing we can do. And this is a very persistent man, and he said, well, certainly there'll be something in the future. And I said, I don't see how. This is a pretty hopeless case. And I was trying to be as gentle about it as I could, but he wouldn't take my gentle counseling, and he kept coming back. And he was right.
Well, what did you do? What was the breakthrough that allowed you to?
The real breakthrough was that, and it only came very recently, is that we can now go right into the testicle of a man who even appears to be not even making sperm in his testicle, and always find a few sperm. Now, if you find a few sperm that aren't moving or are barely moving, you can't call that fertile, except the breakthrough is we can now, with an invisible glass needle, directly pick up a single sperm, and maybe that's all we have is one sperm, and inject it directly into the wife's eggs under 400x magnification, which would be at least 15 times the usual microsurgical magnification.
Okay. Can I draw a testicle on the chart here? Just take me a moment here. There it is. This is Biology 101. On top of the testicle, you call the vas deferens. Is that so?
Well, the epididymis. Which is very hard to pronounce.
But it's right here, is it?
Right there.
And it's like this, isn't it?
Right. It's a very, very tiny structure. I mean,
right. But the sperm is manufactured in here.
Right.
And then the squiggly swim up these things, right?
And then it goes to the vas deferens.
And then it goes to the vas deferens.
Right.
And then at the time of ejaculation,
it comes out.
All things being healthy.
Right.
Did we not think that the sperm, the squigglies that are manufactured in the testicle, mature as they swim up the epididymis?
Right. We felt that the sperm has to go through the epididymis to mature. All the studies showed
So
that.
they're kind of weak and sluggish in the testicle, but by the time they get up here, they're all, squiggling really good, and your chances of having a baby are enhanced then.
That's right.
Okay. He doesn't have any sperm. Any sperm, not only in the epididymis or in the vas deferens.
And he doesn't even have an epididymis.
He has no epididymis.
Nothing. Just testicle. That's it.
Okay, but he's got, as far as you can tell, in terms of the checks you've made, healthy testicles.
He had healthy testicles, and so, but it seemed like it was hopeless because testicular sperm normally can't fertilize. That's what I told him in '83 and '88.
Because even if you were able to extract the sperm, it'd be too weak to impregnate the egg.
Could never fertilize.
All right. So what'd you do? You go to Belgium?
I've been working with Belgian doctors who, for 14 years on this problem, and this is in Brussels. I'll mention their names, Dr. von Sturtigem and Dr. De Vries. We've been working together for a long time, and we came up with the idea that I don't know if you want me to show this, but if you take a little tiny glass pipette that we can pull on a very, very delicate electric puller. I'm sure you can't see the tip. The tip of this is 1/4000th of an inch.
What are you going to do with this now?
We can, if you were to look at it, there's a little kernel of corn here, just to show you that you really, I don't know if you can't see the tip of it. I mean, I can move the corn, but it looks like nothing's moving it because the tip is really invisible.
It's that thin.
It's that thin, 1/4000th of an inch. We can use that to pick up a sperm with very complex micromanipulators and inject a single sperm through all the tough outer zone of the egg into the egg.
Right.
And then it fertilizes.
Right.
We have a baby.
But you haven't told us how you got the sperm. He doesn't even have a sperm count.
Right.
In a moment, we're going to show this audience the film of you actually invading the testicle to harvest sperm. Is that right?
Right into the testicle.
Right. This is just one of the reasons that on the occasion of Dr. Silber walking into a room, all the men cross their legs. And we'll be back in just a moment. All right, here we go. Dr. Silber, home movie time. If you're the women won't have any trouble at all watching this. If you're a man who faints at card tricks, don't watch. Here is Dr. Silber or somebody. Is this Belgium?
This is in Belgium.
You see the incision in the testicle. I mean, this is.
Part of this is in St. Louis and part of it is in Belgium. And what you're going to see is actually right now making a small incision in Mr. Hutter's testicle, and we take a tiny piece of the testicle and put it in a culture dish.
Here you are sewing him up.
We're just sewing him up.
As a matter of fact, Bill, this is not as painful as it looks, is it? This is an office procedure.
And this is definitely not painful. We're chopping up, morsalizing all those seminiferous tubules, and we're getting the few sperm out of that testicle. Now, what you're seeing now is 400 times magnification with that little glass injection pipette. We're picking up sperm that would be absolutely incapable of fertilizing normally that we retrieve directly from his testicle. And we're going to wash those sperm by picking them up and going back and forth in this little pipette. And once they're sufficiently cleaned of all of the other testicular tissue that the sperm is attached to, then we're going to inject it in. This is Carla's egg. Now, this is actually the sperm and the egg that resulted in their baby, and we're injecting that sperm directly in her egg.
This is their biology here.
This is the actual conception of the babies that you're going to see. And so now you're going to see what it looked like 18 hours later, where what's left of the sperm and the nucleus of the egg are there, and finally you see the embryo 2 days later, which is 4 cells, and resulted in, one of the babies that resulted. And this is an animal I told in 1983 that there was no hope to forget about it.
Yeah, one other thing. So, and then, of course, after this, the implantation.
Right.
How many eggs were implanted?
Okay, we had 3 embryos developed out of these sperm. They were all implanted, and we have beautiful twin babies.
We'll meet them in a moment here. We got babies all over the place here.
The first ever born from this technique.
The first ever born from this technique means the unique feature of this technique was the artificial invasion of the egg, wasn't it? Or is it?
That's certainly unique in the last year and a half.
The harvesting.
But what's really unique is that we can take sperm, not even out of the tubes, not out of epididymis or vas, but out of the testicle itself. And what's exciting is, even in men that we think aren't even making sperm in their testicle, when we do this operation, we find 1 or 2 sperm. And that's all you really need for a baby. So there's virtually no such thing as a sterile man anymore.
Show me a guy with no sperm count, and I'll show you a guy with some squigglies going around his testicles somewhere, and you can harvest them and impregnate an egg.
Exactly it.
And there's one other thing you have to do. We know those squigglies, spermatozoa, or the sperm.
Spermatozoa.
The sperm are sort of like this, and they wiggle.
Right.
They wiggle and, wiggle. You can't put a wiggly sperm artificially into an egg because this sperm will wreck the place when it gets inside the egg.
You're absolutely correct. What you noticed is that we had to actually immobilize, break the tail of that sperm.
So you take the tail off the sperm,
right,
and you artificially inseminate only the head,
the DNA. Because if the sperm were able to move around inside the egg, it would destroy the egg.
Yes, it would. But why doesn't it destroy the egg when it naturally impregnates
you? Because when a normal sperm is able to naturally invade the egg, an enzymatic chemical process takes place that immobilizes it the moment it actually gets through.
I see. So in the sperm, then, the tail is merely to get there, but has no reproductive powers at all. All the reproductive biology is in the head.
That's all in the head, right.
So in a normal impregnation situation, the squiggly invades the egg, and the tail goes, boop.
Tail's finished. The tail is worthless. Once it's pushed that egg through, the tail has no purpose.
But while you were doing this, and I don't mean because you're a highly respected guy, so don't be upset. You know, we got to think about Dr. Frankenstein. I mean, you had to be nervous yourself. How do you know what kind of biology is going to result from this artificial intervention?
Well, we had this reviewed several years ago by ethical committees, and every patient knew the risks involved, and we're happy to say that before we did Bill and Carla, we had evidence in over 1,000 cases that were carefully studied that there are no genetic defects caused by this method of fertilization.
Now, after you impregnate the egg, can you do tests on that impregnated egg before you implant it in the side of her uterus, for example, to determine whether we have Tay-Sachs? Or what other...
We routinely do this for Tay-Sachs, cystic fibrosis, Down syndrome. Any of
these... You can take the fertilized egg and determine whether or not this child is going to develop with that disease?
Right. We take one of those little cells and we can test it completely for any potential genetic disease.
Including sickle cell in the case of African American couples.
Right.
Uh-huh. So before you implant this fertilized egg in the side of a womb...
We know it's normal.
Can you tell Down syndrome then?
Yes. And we asked, what do you do? Well, we have the technology for freezing the genetically diseased eggs. I mean, these are children that would have died normally. We can freeze them and save them for a potential breakthrough in molecular biology that might occur in the future.
Introducing a gene...
the missing gene, right?
Uh-huh. And we'll be back to let this audience ask its own questions in just a moment. We'll meet the babies in a moment. Yes, their babies are here, and I better get them on because they're going to have the tape, and I'm in for a lawsuit about 20 years from now. Yes.
Aren't you playing God when you decide which eggs, if they're diseased and you freeze them? I mean, are you really going to use these eggs in the future? Or,
well, would it be a breakthrough that would allow for the development of a perfectly normal baby out of a fertilized egg?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that you're taking the chance of that happening. I mean, if it never happens, then you're playing God.
we're very sensitive to that point. And that's why we've had really careful review by ethical committees with religious leaders, sociologists, philosophers, and I really take your point very, very, very seriously. But the couples really don't want us to put in genetically diseased embryos that are going to die if they have a choice. And we can keep those embryos frozen forever. And let me tell you, the breakthroughs in molecular biology are coming every month. And this is not unrealistic at all to predict genetic cures for these embryos.
Yes.
My question's for Bill. I just wanted to know, did you have any fears going into the operation, considering it's such a sensitive area? Did you have any fears?
Oh, at first it bothered me, but this last surgery I had with Dr. Silber, I had less pain with it than any one I've ever had.
We had waited so long that we'd do about anything.
It seems like with rising medical costs today and people who have serious diseases already not getting insurance costs, who pays for this?
Tell us about the insurance, briefly.
Well, one of the real problems is that insurance companies are all over the place. Some of them pay, some of them don't pay, some of them pay part of the cost and not all the cost, some of them pay nothing. And it's a very, very confused problem. This technology is less expensive than the conventional technology, just like, or surgery, all the surgeries that Linda went through, and actually Linda's an expert on this. Maybe she should even answer that question, because she studied this.
The insurance companies will pay for surgeries like laparoscopies and laparotomies, but they won't pay for the advanced technologies. There's 10 states that have covered the varying degrees, but it's a real shame for the middle-income couple because it's just not fair that some people can get some of these procedures and some can't. We need to inform our legislators and our representatives that we need to have coverage for everyone.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, it's really hard. Ours didn't cover very much at all,
Right.
especially Bill.
And that's well, as I say, it was one of the reasons why I offered, because it only added a few extra $1,000 to Linda's total cost, and yet it increased your chances substantially, because the third time around, you're talking a lot of money, and so for people who have modest means and maybe only have one chance at in vitro, this might be a good option for them.
And that's why you were willing to provide a 50% enhancement to the chances of a baby.
Yes.
And you had two, and you had one, and triplets born, two different women, 2 different years. Here's the sperm that I was so valiantly trying to draw here. Sherman Silber is wearing a silver, that's it right there. And yes, Dr. Silber did this work in medical school and early on, and of course when he went into fertility, yes, they did begin to call him Sherm, the sperm. I want you to meet these babies. We've got to get these babies down here. Here are Justin and Jessica. These are the babies born to a father that had no sperm count. And yes, these are his babies. There they are, right here. Being very, very deftly carried by Patrick McGinn and Dan Slepian from our office, both of whom are in training. Someday they may need that experience. And we'll be back. This audience says, hi, babies. This audience has more questions. And we'll be back in just a moment. Jessica. This is Jessica. We work very hard to produce an exciting television program that will make people sit up and lean forward. And they'll just be so disappointed when it's over. Oh, that is peace on earth. Who would not, what's not to love there? Young man, you wanted to ask.
Yeah, I wanted to know for Bill, congratulations for your perseverance and your babies, but I'd like to know, after the operation and the incision in your testicles, did they give them back to you?
Did they give them back to you?
Yeah, but I mean,
they don't take them off. This young man... They don't give them back to you. They go to a testicle warehouse that Dr. Sherman Silber has. It's just a little piece of the. It's a little piece of the. Yeah, I'll be happy to show you that film again if you want. You're gonna. All the men who watch this show are gonna have nightmares about their testicles rolling off the operating table and down the hallway. Yes, you wanted to ask, my friend.
My question is to Bill. When you found out,
all the men want to talk to Bill, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Bill. Woo.
Hell yeah, I know.
When you realized you had that problem, I mean, what did you go through mentally? Did you, just feel like, not that having a baby makes you a man, but did you feel less of a man, or did you go through
I really did feel less of a man when I found out. It hurt. I went home and cried about it.
Yeah. That's very honest. It's a shame, but our, my testicles myself, and, it's too bad that you wanted to ask, my friend. Yeah. Is it there? Let me just show this. Hang on 1 second. Here's the, for the benefit of this young man, we'll show you this one more time. This is, all right. This is the surface of the testicle. This is not a castration procedure. This is merely taking a bit of body mass from the testicle and the liquid there, so you're harvesting part of the testicle as well as the sperm.
That's right. It's just the tiniest little bit of testicle. It's called a biopsy, really, and it would be maybe 1/10,000th of his total testicular mass. Nobody's voice has gone up after this procedure.
Yeah. With time running out. I'm sorry, this young man was on his feet. Wanted to ask.
Yeah, this is for Bill.
Yeah.
Were there any side effects after the surgery for you or the babies?
Side effects?
No, I had less trouble, like I said before, with this surgery. I've had 4 surgeries, and the first 2 of them I had infection after that, but it all went away.
Yes.
I was wondering for the doctor, is it possible for a man that had a vasectomy to have the same procedure done?
Yeah.
Well, certainly. I was going to say that we still, they had wanted me to bring a little example. We use suture or thread, if you can see it, that's just invisible to the naked eye.
You cannot see that thread.
And by using such tiny thread under the microscope, we can have success in 90% of men, making them fertile normally. But the advantage of this is, in the 10%, we then freeze the sperm that we get at the time of that surgery. And the advantage of this is, if he's one of the 10% that fails, then we have sperm frozen. He never needs another operation that we can use to fertilize his wife's eggs. That makes vasectomy reversal, instead of 90% successful, virtually 100% successful.
Because you don't have to restore the vasectomy.
Exactly.
I have a question for Linda. Did you have to legally adopt Allison?
Well, actually, that's an interesting question. In the state of Missouri, the biological mother is not the legal mother. The mother who gives birth is the legal mother. And we just went to court, and we won the decision that Allison did not have to be adopted, that her birth certificate could be amended, and we're still waiting for that completion. But supposedly, that is the first time it's happened in the state of Missouri.
Yeah. And God bless family and sisters. I mean, there will be no potential roadblocks to any of this.
I hope not.
My question is for Dr. Silber. As a doctor, you have to present all the options. Did you present the option to the parents of possibly adopting some unwanted children? And did the parents also think about that before taking a decision?
Well, we always present that. In fact, it's written out in the consent form, because everybody has to think about that before going to such amazing efforts. But most people would prefer to do this because adoption is so difficult to actually, it's not easy to adopt.
Adoption costs $20,000. It can cost as high as $20,000, and so you have to take that into consideration.
Yes. I think we should say, on behalf of all those proud Americans who are working very hard to promote adoption, that this does vary, and it's not that difficult everywhere, and we don't want to inadvertently turn people off to the idea of adoption. It's a wonderful idea, but it can be complicated and time-consuming. Briefly, you wanted to say.
I just want to say that it was nice to see what was happening in technology, but we're also hearing horror stories of the unethical ways of people choosing their sexes or colors of their...
Let's talk about that, abuse of this technology, when we come back in just a moment. Yes, you can. Listen to, you can choose sex, you can choose color of eyes. There are all kinds of potential horror stories. There is
we have the ethics committee of not only the American Fertility Society, which publishes every year.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.